He said, I Google on my phone, Bismillah. It says, in the name of Allah. Would be the beginning of his journey, and he would take Shahada. He took Shahada, he's at the masjid, he's praying his salah. The brother who actually took us to the waterfall was in the cartel.
In the cartel.
In the cartel, deep inside it. I can send you 5 prayer mats for that price.
Upset, bro.
Yeah.
Better to refund the 200.
I said, look, tell the brother, I said, why don't we go and give dawah to the cartel?
I was just about to say.
He said,
I was going to say, Muslim, we got a dawah mission in Mexico, bro.
Is this the real life?
Oh, Jamal. So guys, welcome to episode of Dawah Diaries. As you can see, we're building our new set. It's going to be really cool, really unique, mashallah. I think this is a really good job we've done so far, mashallah. But I think it's going to get really better. So straight into the Dawah Diaries, Jamal. I want to go to part 2 of Mexico, because Mexico was absolutely an incredible mission. I had never been to Mexico before. Unfortunately, you have this image in Mexico, because growing up, what you see in TV series and movies, or what you hear, you think it's just full of cartel and violence and stuff. But when you get there, you're like, subhanAllah, the Mexican people, they're just normal people living their lives, and they're such nice people, right? And subhanAllah, the Shahada stories, Jamal, in Mexico, I cannot even, they're so crazy and so varied. Like, I'll just share two of them with you, and I'll share a new Muslim community that we went to, which was just incredible, okay? The first one is this brother that I met, and he said that basically he accepted Islam because of a song. And I was like, what? He said, I accepted Islam because of a song. I said, okay, what happened? He said, I'm driving one day, me, my wife, and my 2 daughters with me, okay? And he said, I'm looking for different songs. Someone saying, put this on, someone saying, put this on. He said, I remembered I like a song called Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah?
Oh, yes.
And he says, I play it. And he said, in this song, they say Bismillah. And I was like, what? Do they really? Apparently, they say Bismillah. It's
oh, yeah. Queen
so
and
apparently
Mercury,
apparently this is such a, revealing my age here, this is such a famous song.
Yeah, but it's very mind-blowing, bro, because I grew up, sort of, not when I say I grew up, and that song it's quite an old song. Yeah. And long before I was Muslim, that song existed. Yeah. And then obviously when I became Muslim and someone pointed it out and I'm hearing it for the first time, it's like, whoa. Yeah. So it's so
it was mind-blowing for you. This brother says I played it, and he said Bismillah. And I said, well, what did you do? And he said, as soon as I heard that, he said, I paused it because my daughters are in the car. He said, I don't want them to, maybe he's talking Arabic about drugs or something. What is Bismillah? And I'm actually replicating exactly how he said it. Yes. He said, I Google on my phone, Bismillah. It says, in the name of Allah. Yeah? And I said, what's that? He says, Google what's Allah, Muslims, the Quran. He said, I found the Quran. He said, I Googled Quran audio. He said, I found a 9-hour audio Quran in Spanish. Wow. He said, I said to myself, I have got a new phone. I've got a lot of storage. Let me download it and listen. He said, I downloaded the whole Quran. He said that when I'm driving back and forth to work, I listen to the whole 9 hours of the Quran, yeah? Amazing. He said, as soon as I heard it, he said, I knew this was the truth and this Islam is the truth. And I was sitting with the brother and I said, this carpet is red, right? I said, I look at this carpet and I know it's red straight away. I said, is that how you knew Islam was the truth? He said, that's exactly how I just instantly knew Islam was the truth, right? And he takes a shahada in Mexico, in a random city in Guadalajara. Someone's driving and Allah decides at this moment, this slave of mine is going to basically find out about my faith, because Allah decides what He wills and He gives a sign. And subhanAllah, imagine that moment. He's going to play, and the moment before He says Bismillah would be the beginning of his journey, and he would take Shahada. Bro, he took Shahada. He's at the masjid, he's praying his salah, he recites the Fatiha in Arabic, and I was like, subhanAllah, look at the journey that people have, right? Allah guides whomever He wills. Absolutely. And I've learned, and this is what's amazing about Dawah Diaries. I mean, you guys will get stories here that you don't find anywhere else, and subhanAllah, it will happen to people, but Allah will then bring it from those people to us and into the ears of the people. So if you haven't subscribed or downloaded, you're missing out, because there's so many stories we have from Mexico. So this was his story, and he was in the masjid, subhanAllah. I was like, look at the journey it leads, and check out how the journey happens. Everyone who starts looking into Islam themselves, right? They have this journey, right? They all end up in Rafael's place, because there's only one masjid. There's 2 masjids in Guadalajara, but they're 2 hours apart. So it's this is the main one in Guadalajara city. They come here. So it's someone saw Islam on a billboard, someone read the Quran, someone went to depression, looks into Quran. They'll all end up at Rafael's door, and Rafael opens. And I tell Rafael, how do you feel when you open the door? Do you know, I wonder what this story is going to be, right? And he's like, yeah, over time you start to think like, what's it going to be?
Yeah.
So this brother came, then other brother came, then a sister came, and loads of people like this come, right? And that's the journey that happens. Another sister that was there, right? This old auntie, Jamal, Mexican lady, full hijab, full jilbab. I think she's in her 70s or close to 80, right? And I'm like, how did this auntie accept Islam?
Yeah.
And Raphael said, this is how the story goes. I don't know 100%, but apparently her daughter was speaking or liked somebody who was Muslim, right? I don't know. She liked him or they were talking or something. She started looking into Islam, realized it was the truth, took her shahada, became Muslim, right? I don't know if they got married or whatever, right? She, as the mum, was very upset. Yeah, she was really sad, really upset. She's a strong Christian. How dare my daughter accept Islam and become Muslim, right? She was really sad.
Yeah.
So one day she went really angrily to that brother's house, or like the person who told us about Islam, and she's like knocking.
Like
And she's like, yeah, a bit like that. And she's like, and she said something, or she was saying something, and something happened. I actually don't even remember the details, but something happened where she was a bit like, oh, or like taken aback. And she said, you know what, I need to look into Islam, or I need to look into it, yeah? And she started looking into Islam, reading into Islam. Maybe she got a Quran or something like that. And Allah just opened her heart. And she became Muslim, subhanAllah. She obviously ended up in this dawah center, and she's just a regular there. They pick her up, they bring her in the car. She doesn't want them to move the masjid to a different location because she's like, this is close for me, don't move it there. And she's just a full-blown sister with hijab, jilbab in the center as a Muslim, right? SubhanAllah. Look, her daughter accepted it. She was angry, hated Islam, was completely against it. But look how Allah, subhanAllah, He says that Allah is in control of the hearts and He turns the heart. One flip, right?
Yes. And Raphael, mashallah, he's like, people are drawn to him.
Raphael, subhanAllah, and if he's listening to this, maybe you should pause it or stop listening, right? I'll give him a few seconds. But Raphael, for me, he is probably in the top, right? Yeah. There's joint tops, right? But he is definitely probably in the number one, in the top 3 da'is in the world for me. He's close to number one, but I think mashallah, there's all so different, but they're all very close. There's a few of them, right, mashallah, who are amazing. But Raphael, subhanAllah, because this brother, he lives the dawah, Jamal. Budget comes for an event or not, he's doing it regardless. Yeah. He'll put his own money, right? SubhanAllah, the masjid, half of the masjid is Raphael's house, Jamal. Half of the masjid is his house where he lives with his family. Yeah, and he's converted half of it, and half of it is blocked up, and there's carpet there basically, and subhanAllah, it's his house, mashallah, right? And then I see the stuff that he does. Another brother, he's like a journalist, okay? He's there, and I'm sitting down, and I tell him, Raphael, this brother, tell him he looks like he's a journalist, right? And Raphael starts laughing as well, yeah? And he's like, he does appearances on news and stuff like that as well. He's a student who's studying like anthropology, I think it's anthropology. Yeah. We're studying tribes of like Mexico and what the people do, right? And he came in here for research on Muslims, right? Really? He came because this is the Islamic Center and the only place available. Yeah. Talking to Raphael, he's like, oh my God, this is the truth. Takes shahada, becomes Muslim, subhanAllah, right? And he goes with Raphael on dawah missions to some of these places now and tells them about this tribe, tells them about that tribe. I was like, subhanAllah, look how the guys, people, he came for research, he came for a certain truth for his paper, he found the real truth, subhanAllah, and became Muslim. And he was telling me stories about the tribes in Mexico, and you love this kind of stuff. He showed me an image of one guy, he looked like an emperor, like a king with a beard and like the Mexican clothes and stuff. And he said this was the king. He taught them how to do agriculture, how to grow plants, animals, like rare animals and cows and stuff, and you would only believe in one God, right? And he came thousands of years ago. I was like, subhanAllah, was this a prophet? We don't even know. It could have been a prophet, right? Yeah, exactly. He told Viracocha. Might have been, yeah. And he told them to believe in one God, and he showed them how to farm, how to grow, how to rear animals and stuff. And I was like, subhanAllah. So, and this is another shahada story. The other one, which is the brother basically, is the brother who's having heart palpitations, right? And he has it once. He says, I'm going to accept Islam. He goes to the center, and then he gets cold feet and he leaves. Gets it again, goes to the hospital. He says, Ya Allah, I promised you last time. He comes back, subhanAllah. And this is the story. And the stories are so incredible, right? Then we basically go to this village, right? Which is like really, really far in Mexico, subhanAllah. And I mean, last week we shared in Dawah the episode of the brother with the PDF, but that's one story. Look at these other ones. And this one is basically a sister invited us. She went and worked in the house of a family in Canada a Mexican family. I think the sister is Mexican, right? She's a big donor for IRA, mashallah. May Allah bless her and increase her. So she employed the sister, I believe, who worked in a house. Or maybe I'm mixing stories up because there's so many Shahada stories there. But this sister worked with Muslims in Canada and she accepted Islam and took Shahada, right? Then she basically came back to a village and people are asking questions about Islam. They're like, what is this religion? What do you do? What is this hijab? What are these things? And she tells Raphael, listen, Raphael, she's like, look, I can't answer all these questions and stuff. She's like, can you guys come and do something? So Raphael sees us coming and he sees the perfect opportunity. Actually, just a week before we came, Raphael drove 14 hours from his house. Bro, UK, you go to Scotland, tip of Scotland is 8 hours, 14 hours he drives from his house, mashallah, because lockdown just ended there. They had a long lockdown. But he's out on the road for the dawah. Not for a holiday or to go to a beach or to go to eat food. He's just out because he's like, I need to get to those new Muslims and stuff. So when we arrive, it's the perfect timing and he takes us to this village, right? They prepare food for us. They prepare tortillas for us. And we don't experience that, Jamal. I mean, you've been as well. We go to give dawah in places. They don't prepare a banquet or feast for us. It's very rare. And they don't have to. It's not. We're coming to them with a message and books and stuff. These guys, they prepare tortillas, chicken, wraps, like in bamboo leaves with like rice and chicken. All of this food cooked and everything. A nice cucumber drink. All a banquet, right? And we eat that, we enjoy it, and then they sit and listen to us speak about Islam. All of them, subhanAllah, right? And then a brother takes Shahada, someone else takes Shahada, another sister, old sister, bro, 70s, late 70s. She's like crying and saying, and she's saying something in Arabic, and I'm like, Raphael, what is she saying? Bro, she's saying she's making dua and crying and praying at the tahajjud for her son. And I'm like, you look at her, you think it's just some Mexican grandma, but look at her iman, right? Obviously, she's really old. I think she hasn't worn a hijab yet and stuff, but she's crying and stuff saying, I'm praying to Allah and tahajjud for my son. I was like, look at the iman, mashallah, And these people are accepting Islam, subhanAllah. And then more people accepted Islam. And it was just incredible, right? And then, they're showing us their local area. And this is the foods we have. These are the plants we have. They show us this waterfall that they have in the back garden. It's like, bro, the waterfall looks like something out of a screensaver on a computer. Honestly. And it's like untouched. Nobody knows about it, right? And there we're like teaching them about the deen and the salah and wudu and stuff like that. And it was just mind-blowing, subhanAllah,
So you mentioned about the cartel and stuff, but
the brother who actually took us to this waterfall was in the cartel.
In the cartel,
deep inside it. And to leave the cartel is very difficult. Like sometimes they'll come after you, And he was like, he said that it was very difficult for him to leave, but look, subhanAllah, how Allah opens the doors. Allah will bring us from all the way from London and Raphael from Mexico to come to the village, speak to them for 4 or 5 hours for him to finally have his question answered and take Shahada and accept Islam. And he was in the cartel, subhanAllah. A lot of people actually from cartel actually.
So when there's going to be a dawah mission to go into the cartel?
Bro, subhanAllah.
Because I'm not going to be the cameraman for that one.
You're reminding me of all these stories. One of the brothers that came there, he came from really far. He came 4 hours, right? This brother, subhanAllah, it's so sad when I tell you the story. He saved up a lot of money to basically order a prayer mat for himself. So he ordered off Alibaba. We see things on Alibaba, AliExpress. And you order and it's like 4 or 5 pounds, right? And it's gonna take like forever to come, It's gonna take like 1 month or something, but you don't care because it's so cheap and it's coming from China. This brother ordered a prayer mat for himself in Mexico, but because he lives in a remote town, Jamal, he paid £200. In Mexico, people get paid £200 a month. £150 to £300 is a salary in Mexico. He ordered for £200. Imagine how much money he must have saved up to a prayer mat. But look at his love for the deen. He wanted a prayer mat, because it's symbolic and he wanted to pray on it, And I know, obviously, we know that, you don't always need a prayer mat and stuff. But for him, he's a new Muslim. He wants to experience that. He wants his prayer mat. That's my prayer mat. £200. And it took 2 months to arrive. And I said to Raphael, tell the brother that, I can send you 5 prayer mats for that price. That'll make him upset, bro. Yeah. Better to refund him the 200. I said, tell the brother, give me his address. I said, I'll send it. He's messaged me actually a few times. I'm going to send it for him, I said, I'll send it. Because he wants a topi as well and a thobe, For us, obviously, these things, they don't matter that much, right? Because
Yes.
you know we can pay normal clothes and stuff. But for them, when they live in a remote area, this is their identity, right?
Yeah.
They like wearing thobe. People ask them, "What is that?" They tell them about Islam. They like wearing a topi. They like the jainas and stuff. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna send it for this brother, inshallah. So I'm gonna message him back, inshallah. Send it over for him.
nice.
But he lives alone, Jamal. He's the only Muslim in his whole town.
Really?
His whole city. He's the only new Muslim, right? And he was telling us stories. He said the other day in my area, he said a car turned in. And a car was on that road, and the car that turned into the road was a cartel, and the car standing there was the police. He said instantly they started a shootout, 4-hour shootout with full live ammunition. Police officer died, cartel members died, everything. He said that's my area, and I said, joked with him. I said, why don't we go and give dawah to the cartel?
I was just about to say.
He said.
I was gonna say, Muslim. We got a dawah mission in Mexico, bro. We're gonna visit Carter.
Check out what he's
someone called Carter, yeah.
Check out what he said. He said they might kill you. He said they worship death. I said, are you being serious? He said they worship death, and then they actually worship idols called the Virgin of Death. Wow. Yeah, and all these stories are coming back to me. Subhanallah, there's so many. Subhanallah, right? But you know, and he had the shootout. But this brother, look, Islam came to him. He accepted Islam. He was into heavy metal music and stuff. Yeah, and then he accepted Islam. Complete change of personality. Even his mom, his non-Muslim parents are like, yeah, we see the change in him completely. Yeah, how? And you know this, bro. Even here, like we see brothers, you know, people. We all know our friends and stuff and what their backgrounds are. Yeah. Islam comes, Jamal. It's just 360. Yeah. Like you, like the person will just change. You see him before Islam, you know what that person was really like. You know, doesn't matter. Some people are in fitna. Some people are in violence. Yeah. Some people are in scams, money. But when Islam comes, subhanAllah, it just changes. And the brotherhood is just...
And when people see that, that's when dawah just...
It's a proof of Islam. For me, it's a proof of Islam. Yeah. No religion will change you like that, honestly, and bond you like that, subhanAllah. And you know, this brings me to all the other stories in Mexico that I've forgotten, right? Worst new Muslim support in the world. Really? Get ready for listen to the worst new Muslim support.
Rafael.
No. Rafael, mashallah, went and rescued them, basically, right? Not rescued in the sense of saving lives, but went and helped them. So this brother and this indigenous tribe, there's a lot of indigenous tribes in Mexico, right? This brother accepts Islam, and basically, subhanAllah, the Muslim brother there who's kind of like the mentor, right? He tells him, why do you eat these tortillas and stuff, which is made out of wheat or whatever? He said, this is dog food. This is what animals eat. Stop eating this. Start having bread. And the brother owns a bakery. Crazy, right, Jamal?
I see,
and then he tells him that, you know, it's okay that your wife's Muslim, I understand that, but you know, her family and her extended family, they're non-Muslims. Divorce your wife. Why are you still married to her? His wife's not even non-Muslim. His wife is Muslim. She wears hijab. I went to their house, subhanAllah. His wife, they got 5 kids, this brother, right? They're Muslims, they're memorizing Quran and stuff. He made this little breakfast for us, subhanAllah. Imagine, you know, what kind of stuff it is going through. And then Rafael went to them, he looked after them. That brother now works for IRA. How amazing is that? He works full time for IRA. We were giving out stuff. He's got dawah material. He's got Quran. He talks about how quickly the Quran's finished. And then he gave me like this little, like, I don't know if it's a kimono or whatever, but it's like this Mexican hoodie. I'll bring it in next time. You've got like a hoodie and you've got like these 2 laces. They're all made out of like one, it's just one cloth that's like stitched together.
Not a poncho, is it?
Like a poncho, but it's like made of wool. Western. It was really nice, Masha, really nice. And you know, he gifted it to me and I was like, no, I'll pay you for it. He's like, no, I'm not going to take it, right? And he was showing us how this brother also got taken for Hajj. He was invited, you know, the special revert Hajj that you get where you get like VIP treatment and stuff. And mashallah, was amazing. But that had such an impact in his life, right? And Hajj, I think for you know as well, you've gone, especially for reverts, Hajj is a very powerful thing. They remember it as like a big, and you, I mean, maybe you want to talk about that, like
you never forget it.
You never forget it, you know. And you also say as like something that you speak with not pride, but like you're happy that Allah allowed you to go to his Hajj, and you speak, yeah, I've gone Hajj and it was incredible. Yeah. And he was like that, right? And he tells everyone about that. Then he takes us to this little masjid of his, right? That they've built themselves. The first one is up the hill, a little shack. I open it, there's like hay on the floor. There's like nothing, no lights, nothing. It's like this is what me and my dad first built as the masjid. Wow. Then we got a bit more funding and money and help from people, and they built this little white room. Jamal, it's just a white room, bro. There's nothing there. It's just a white room with a toilet, you know, with a steel tin with a lock, and it's just a white room with like carpet, subhanAllah. Where here, magic starts to happen. Things start going wrong in the masjid, people aren't feeling well. It's like, what's going on? if you look up, right, imagine there's like pillars, like you just have banisters on the ceiling.
Yes.
You can't even reach it, obviously. You look up at the ceiling and that's what you see, right? And he says, I'm looking and what's going on? On top of one of the ceilings, Jamal, he finds the Virgin of Death, black magic spell done on it, yeah? He says he took it and he threw it out, and since that day, he said, I started locking the masjid. He had to, because he doesn't know who was doing it, but they were doing magic. It's a shame, but alhamdulillah, good. At least he'll protect the masjid, right?
Yeah.
And you know, these people, I mean, people might be thinking, they don't have money and funding like that where they'll install CCTV or get a security guard. They're living in a small little town in rural Mexico, right? SubhanAllah. But it's just these stories, Jamal. You come across these people. You know that Allah shares His signs with people all over the world. Amazing. Whether Muslims are there or not, Allah will show them dreams. Right, and Raphael's story himself is so inspiring. But these are just some of the stories. There's many more. I think we'll have to do a part 3 for Mexico. But this is the Dawah for Mexico.
Before you start,
of course.
During one of our live appeals, was it Raphael that had all the Qur'ans delivered and he had them behind him?
And I tested him. I said, bro, open the box. Show us what's inside.
Yes. And that was incredible, because I was just thinking, like, I don't know how big the team is there, but I just know that every single one of those Qur'ans is going to go to someone who's probably going to just grab it with open arms. You know, so
I mean, you see that with people.
Yeah.
I mean, to give out a leaflet in UK, you wouldn't be surprised if you saw that on the floor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't be surprised at all. But you see them reading it, and this is a leaflet. Imagine the Quran. I mean, the last Dawah that we did, by the way, last week, I don't know if you saw it, the PDF one, right? Where the brother gets the PDF.
Yes.
That brother took a shahada.
Oh, that's amazing.
He's Muslim now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we gave him that Quran. Now I wonder, whose Quran was that? Which live appeal did we do? And someone said, you know what, I've only got £5, let me give it. And there was like 2.5 Qurans funded by that. One of those Qurans was the one that went to that brother who actually delivers lectures in universities as well, right? And he's taking his shahada now. Whose was it? This is why we say, guys, give. You just never know what's going to happen.
People know this. I think that the brothers and sisters know.
I see it. So, guys, you want to donate, go. But best is give a monthly donation to IRA, because you continuously sharing that, inshallah. So, part 3 for Mexico. I hope people enjoyed this one, inshallah. There might even be a part 4. There's so many stories from Mexico, right? We actually did a Dawah Diaries outside the Aztec pyramid in Mexico with Raphael. I did it. It was like they were like, oh, you can't film, and it was very difficult. And we did it on the phone and a little camera tripod. It wasn't a big tripod. Right, and I filmed it with Raphael. I think that one would be quite interesting. But subhanallah, stories in did you know Mexico was going to be like this?
No idea.
You don't know how deep the stories and the stories are, and we'll release some of the Riva stories. I did interviews with them as well, mashallah. But you will miss out on all of those if you don't subscribe and follow this channel, inshallah. So subscribe, follow, comment, inshallah. Let us know what you think of the series, inshallah, and wait till the next Dawah Diaries episode comes out. Assalamu alaikum, jazakallah khair.